Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Today we have Her Praise Radha Vinodini Mataji to enlighten us on topic spiritual sound, material noise from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 4th chapter, 23rd verse. Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for coming and giving, enlightening us on this topic and giving your time and association, valuable time and association to all of us. You can please take over the call, Mataji. Thank you so much. And you will share the screen, right, Mataji?
Yes.
Thanks so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Guru Maharaj. Okay, I have the technical stuff done. So today, let's speak about this verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, verse 23. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So the verse is Ta eta rishayo vedam svam svam vyasyan anekada shishyai prashishyai tachishyai vedaste shakino bhavan. Srila Prabhupada's translation. All these learned scholars, in their turn, rendered the entrusted Vedas unto their many disciples, grand disciples, and great-grand disciples, and thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The original source of knowledge is the Vedas. There are no branches of knowledge, either mundane or transcendental, which do not belong to the original text of the Vedas. They have simply been developed into different branches. They were originally rendered by great respectable and learned professors. In other words, the Vedic knowledge, broken into different branches by different disciplic successions, has been distributed all over the world. No one, therefore, can claim independent knowledge beyond the Vedas. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimate Chandramam Swaminiti Namine. So, last week, actually, I had a very interesting experience, which very much affected how I approached this verse when I read it. Because, so last week and the week before that, many times I could join the Padayatra here in Hungary. And, it's so nice when we can go deep into the different aspects of transcendental sound, like chanting together with the devotees on the street during Harinams, and also associating with them in many other ways, like being together with them in the morning programs, listening to classes. And when I came back last week, and Saturday I had to go to the temple, I had service there. And actually, it was, I just started to notice that there were many people when I got on the suburban railway line, which leads to the temple. And this was the time of the year I just realized that, oh yeah, there is a big festival here in the city. It's not a devotees festival. It's a festival for non-devotees. And it's a very, very loud festival for, I don't know, 5 days or something like that. There are big concerts. And in that part of the city, in that part of Budapest, many people complain about that it's so loud that they cannot have a nice, peaceful rest. And yeah, so I was on this suburban railway line and, you know, there were these many people and they were chatting quite loudly. And it was something a little bit like a painful experience. And, you know, I just tried to cover part of my ear and started to chant. And it was such a relief for me. And I just started to think that, yeah, maybe I'm more sensitive to this because previously I could experience, you know, just being together with the devotees chanting, and it was such a different type of sound. And yeah, I started to think about this, that it's not even this, how to say, people are speaking together, because if I go for a japa time to the temple, and, you know, many devotees chant together, not at the same time speaking the words. So it may sound something like noise, but even that's different, very much different. Everybody can feel the difference from this kind of noise, which is like, you know, everybody's chit-chatting and it's loud and it's really disturbing. And when we speak about sound, sound is actually very much there in our process, either when we speak about spiritual knowledge, and this verse is mostly about this, how spiritual knowledge, the sound of spiritual knowledge was passed down through the parampara, the different branches of parampara. And also the other is obviously chanting. It's also sound, and it's very important what kind of sound we associate with, because sound has great effect on us. And for this, I just would like to show this this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are some parts, more parts when creation is discussed. And this is one part when the verse says that from the darkness of false ego, the first of the 5 elements, namely the sky, is generated. Its subtle form is the quality of sound. And actually, in other verses, we can read about that how from sound all the other elements are manifested. So those are different forms of the same thing. And in the purport, it's discussed that. So this is it. It is said that first the Tanmatra sound is created, and then the sky. And in this verse, it is confirmed that actually it is so, but sound is the subtle form of the sky, and the distinction is like that between the seer and the seen. The sound is the representation of the actual object, as the sound produced speaking of the object gives an idea of the description of the object. Therefore, sound is the subtle characteristic of the object. So many times we can hear about the effect of sound, how powerful it is, because everything is originated from sound. And there are all these experiments like how different plants react to different kind of sounds. I remember, for me, the funniest part was when I heard that these cactuses, they like heavy metal, heavy metal music, so-called music. And it's funny because those people who also like this kind of music, they also seem a little bit like, all these metal parts of their dresses. So I really found that funny. But also there are different experiments about animals, how they react to different kind of sound effects. And I just read in the last few days that, for example, there was an experiment that there were cows which listened to, so people played Mozart music to them. And those cows gave more milk than the others. So we can see that sound has a great effect on us. And one way to understand how it is that, for example, probably all of you experienced that when we listen to certain type of music, and even, for example, certain type of speech, it evokes different kinds of feelings in us. And actually, from feelings, certain type of desires emerge. And desires are the subtle form of actions. So sound and the effect of sound and the feelings will generate certain type of activities in us. I remember I also heard that, I don't know the name of that instrument in English, which Scottish people used to blow, but they use it when they went to war to have some kind of battle. And, it evokes kind of heroic or aggressive type of feeling, and then they can have more likely this feeling for battle, So it's very important how we approach sound and what kind of sound we associate with and how we associate with sound, because this example which I started with, this noise in this suburban railway line, I was just thinking how much difference there is between this transcendental sound and this was compared to it, the material noise. And the problem is that sometimes we listen to transcendental sound, but we mix some kind of material noise in it. Many times we mix the noise of our ego, the noise of our mind, and that will create some kind of problem, because most of us, I certainly do, we have the false ego and the material mind works on the material level and very much affected by the three modes of nature. And the problem is that when we mix the material modes of nature into the transcendental sound, then hearing this sound or acting based on this sound will be somewhat different. So, for example, when we mix the noise of the sound into the transcendental sound, so many times it happens that some people think that, oh, I create something new. There are different angles of the Vedas, and they borrow something from it, but then they think that, okay, I will reshape it or create something new from it. So I think yoga meaning the exercise type of yoga here. Yoga is a perfect example here for that, because yoga is originally, come from the Vedic system, but now we can experience that there are so many different kind of yogas which actually are modernized. So I heard about like laughing yoga and heavy metal yoga and drinking yoga, and these are the most absurd which I've heard about. But everybody wants to create something new, because in this modern society, we got used to it that when it's about knowledge, I am a big person if I can create something new. Somehow we don't really recognize the value of following, because there is this misconception that that following is, oh, it's easy. It's for those who cannot create something and who cannot lead, who cannot produce something original. And actually, it's not true in two ways, because following is not easy, totally not easy. So many times we see that people want to lead, but they don't want to follow, because they don't know how to follow. I remember I heard one pastime which Yamuna Mataji told originally. It was a pastime with Srila Prabhupada, that once devotees were traveling somewhere, and when they arrived to someone's house, they started to sing the Gurvashtakam prayers. And Srila Prabhupada asked one Prabhu to start singing with a new melody, which they learned just lately. And after some time, Srila Prabhupada just stopped this Prabhu and asked another Prabhu to start singing. And this other Prabhu also started to sing, but he was also stopped. And also a third devotee was asked, and he was also stopped. And in the end, Srila Prabhupada asked Yamuna Mataji to sing. And in the end, he didn't stop her. So she sang these prayers. And she was curious about what happened. And she approached Srila Prabhupada asking why did he ask all those Prabhus and stopped them. And Srila Prabhupada said something very interesting. He said that first, learn to listen properly, learn to hear properly. Then you will be able to follow properly. So if we cannot hear properly, then we won't be able to follow properly. And if you learn to follow properly, then you will be able to lead properly. So this is the way how we should approach leading, creating something new. So in today's society, it's totally not like that. And that's why there are people who want to lead and they don't know how to follow. So following is not easy. First, we have to learn to hear properly, then we might be able to follow properly. That's one thing. And the other thing is that following is not useless. Following is actually, it gives mercy, it gives qualification. So there are many benefits of following. So following is important, but when we just want to follow the path of ego, of the false ego, then following is difficult. And many times people say that, oh yeah, but following all these rules and regulations from all these previous ages are not so practical, because now we have a new civilization, new culture, and there are different problems, and the whole world is different, and we have to modernize everything. But it's not true. Actually, I read from Bhaktividyapurna Maharaj. He said once that, for example, all these yoga schools. So it's not that it's a modern thing in the West. Actually, even Srila Prabhupada preached in yoga centers, and even before him, in the 18th and 19th century, yoga was also here in the Western world. It was called Orientalism, and it was just not so widespread amongst the people. It was for the aristocratic people. But also, you know, in Srimad Bhagavatam's Canto 9, there we can read stories about when someone switched from male to female, female to male, and there are weapons like atom bombs. There is not all of them in Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 9, first one was there. Also, there is time travel, there is travel between planets. So it's not like, you know, our world is so new, and actually whatever we experience now, everything happened before and everything is there in the scriptures. So we can safely follow the scriptures because the basic principles are the same, that we need to breathe to survive, we need to sleep, there is gravity, we need to eat, and we want to love people, we would be loved. So these are basic laws, and scriptures give answers to these kind of problems. Also worth mentioning that it's also a problem of our times that people want to modernize everything. So it's also the same with mantras. And mantras should be passed through the disciplic succession. And there is one document from GBC about Kirtan. It's, I don't know, 180 pages, something like that. And the topics are like discussed in question-answer type of form. And the answer is all the time some kind of letter from Srila Prabhupada or from other spiritual masters or from scriptures. And there are a few points about the bona fide mantras. And I remember I saw a list of what kind of mantras devotees used to chant during kirtans. And, you know, it's different for different countries, different temples, but even I recognize some of those mantras, which we here in Hungary sometimes chant, and it's some concocted mantra. So we should be careful about that, because Srila Prabhupada was really strict about mantras, and that we should chant those which we got from our spiritual masters. So the summary of that we should be very much alert, not to mix the vibration of the ego into the transcendental sound. We shouldn't create something new. There is another thing when we mix the noise of the mind into the spiritual sound, and you know, it's like when we have this different kind of desires, and based on that oh, this rule and regulation is not so important. Maybe it's not so important to get up so early. It's difficult, and oh, what's the benefit? It's no problem if I get up 2 hours later, or if I don't chant in the morning, or sometimes we add some extra into the philosophy. Or it might happen that we just switch priorities. There is one thing also which I read from Bhaktividyapurna Maharaj, and he spoke about that many times we learn something from the Vedas, one anga of it, and after some time we go so deep into it that we start to identify with it. I will just read the exact quote. You study Ayurveda and then you disappear from devotional service and become some Ayurvedic doctor somewhere. You study astrology and you disappear off somewhere. It happens all the time. Why? Because they identify with the kshetra. So they studied Ayurveda, they studied astrology, they studied Sanskrit, and they become Ayurveda, Sanskrit, and astrology. They are not kshetragya, like they think they are. They are kshetra. Kshetragya means you are not identifying with it, you are identifying as the soul. So it's nice to know all these fields, and use them in Krishna's service. But when Guru Maharaj also used to speak about seeing the difference between the principle and the detail. So the principle is that we are servants of Krishna. We want to serve him. And the detail is that we can use Ayurveda, we can use Sanskrit, we can use astrology in his service, but it shouldn't be more important than Krishna, than the service of Krishna. So this is when we switch priorities. And so just summarizing all this is that we should be very alert not to mix the false ego and the mind, the noise of these, into our services, into transcendental sound. And there is one great help in this, and I did a little bit of research about this. I was really interested in this, so hope you also will like it. And this is the importance of silence. To understand silence and appreciate silence, and actually know what is silence according to Srila Prabhupada and the scriptures. Because silence can make the noise of the mind, the noise of the false ego, a little bit, cease these noises. And I found two types of silence glorified in the scriptures. I would call them the inner silence and the outer silence, but it's just my titles for them. One kind of silence is which both Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna glorifies as the qualities of devotees. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he taught Sanatana Goswami, he mentioned the 26 qualities of devotees. So he said that devotees are always merciful, humble, truthful, equal to all, faultless, magnanimous, mild, and clean. They are without material possessions, and they perform welfare work for everyone. They are peaceful, surrendered to Krishna, and desireless. They are indifferent to material acquisitions, and they are fixed in devotional service. They completely control the 6 bad qualities: lust, anger, greed, and so forth. They eat only as much as required, and they are not inebriated. They are respectful, grave, compassionate, and without false prestige. They are friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. So here, Srila Prabhupada didn't write any purport, but for the other verse, he did. And the other one is when Krishna speaks to Arjuna, and he said that one who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent, always, and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. So one verse was about the qualities of the devotees, and the other is who are very dear to Krishna. So here there is a purport, and yeah, here. So it is said, he does not speak of anything but topics about Krishna, therefore he is called silent. Silent does not mean that one should not speak. Silent means that one should not speak nonsense. One should speak only of essentials, and the most essential speech for the devotee is to speak for the sake of the Supreme Lord. So here Srila Prabhupada defines what it means to be silent for a devotee. And this is a quality which we should endeavor for. And if we fill time with the glories of Krishna, with topics about him, with transcendental sound, then there won't be as much place for the material noise. And the other kind of silence is I would say the outward silence, and it's also in Bhagavad Gita, when in chapter 10 Krishna speaks about what he is in different kind of things, and one thing he mentions is, of secret things I am silence. And actually I'm still in trying to understand this part of Bhagavad Gita, but at least I would read also what Srila Prabhupada wrote about it, that among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important, because by silence one can make progress very quickly. So yeah, I think we should meditate on what this means, because this really can help our progress in spiritual life. But so the first type was what we should endeavor for, and this is what helps our progress in spiritual life. And to show a little bit describe this topic of silence, I would like to quote two other type of things. One is, it's a non-devotee source. It's a poet from Lebanon, but it very nicely shows which we already spoke about. So I hope I will pronounce his name properly. He's called Khalil Gibran, and he's a poet and a writer. He was, and there was a poem called Silence, and it's really nice. You talk when you cease to be at peace with your thoughts. And when you can no longer dwell in the solitude of your heart, you live in your lips, and sound is a diversion and a pastime. And in much of your talking, thinking is half murdered. For thought is a bird of space that in a cage of words may indeed unfold its wings, but cannot fly. So I think even though it's not devotees writing, but very nicely shows why silence is helpful for growing, because many times I at least also experienced it, but that when I speak, it's not so much space for thinking. And also, they used to say that we got 2 ears from God and 1 mouth, which shows that we should listen two times as much as we speak. So it's a nice thing to ponder on. And the last thing, which is from Yamuna Mataji, I hope I will be able to nicely present it, because there was this book, this I don't know, this two-volume book which Dinatarini Mataji published after Yamuna Mataji passed away, and there was one part in this book which glorified the sounds of Vrindavan. And the reason for quoting this is that she glorified how quiet it is, and actually mentions that it's punctuated by the sounds. And it's really, really nice how silence and the sounds come together in her writing. And I thought that once previously I found a recording of sounds of Vrindavan. So it's a very short part, but I would like to show it to you, to read it to you with some background Vrindavan sounds. So I hope it will get through somehow. So, appreciation of Vrindavan from Yamuna's journal. I always want to remember the sounds of Vrindavan. It's quiet, punctuated by the sounds of flying green parrots, its strutting peacocks, monkey shrieks, and cows lowing. The call of Jai Radha or Hare Krishna, preferred as greetings to strangers on the streets, the hoofs of cows and wooden clogs of sadhus on the cobblestone lanes, the recitation of Shastra, temple kirtans, and widow bhajans. These are the sounds that give Vrindavan a spiritual vitality, a wonderful persona. So I don't know how did it go through. I just realized that there are so many difficult words for me in this. Sorry for not properly reading it, but which really struck me in this description, that how we should understand silence, because these are actually, sounds of Vrindavan, which gives peace to the mind and which helps to connect to Krishna. So according to Srila Prabhupada's description, it's also silence, because it's not material, and just the heart becomes more peaceful because of this. So I would like to connect all these with the verse, because it might seem that I spoke some different kind of topic, because in the verse, our original verse was it's about the parampara, the disciplic succession, and the knowledge coming from them. And the reason for me speaking about this, how we sometimes distort this spiritual knowledge which we get from them, is that many times we might think that the parampara is made of spiritual masters who pass this knowledge to one another, and in a sense we are at the end of the parampara, sort of part of it, but not really, because we are not spiritual masters. But one thing is important, that we are a shiksha parampara, and the other is that we are also preaching. And in this parampara, whatever branch there is, it might seem that, oh, one more branch, more or less, it's not so much of a problem. But these branches, which are mentioned in this verse, or all originated from the Vedas. So if we mix something into this and make a branch of that, that's a problem, because it's not the same message as all in the other bona fide branches. And because we are preaching, it's very important what we give to all the other devotees who come into our movement. And all these saints, all these devotees who worked tirelessly on passing this knowledge to us the way it really is, we should really honor that effort. And the way of honoring it is that we understand this knowledge just the way it is, and we apply it as it should be applied. And also we pass it on to other devotees the way it is, the way we got it. So unaffected by the material modes of nature, unaffected by our mind and our ego. And this is really our responsibility, because so many devotees worked on this, and I definitely don't want to be the one who ruins it, even in the least extent. So just let's see this responsibility and act according to that. So this is what I was thinking of speaking about, and if you have any realizations or anything to add, please speak up.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji, for enlightening us on this topic. It's very important to know, I felt that it's very important to know these technicalities about the silence and the sound. So, but yeah, as Srila Prabhupada written in that purport of Nanman purport, that silence will make you advance spiritually. So that's I was thinking that it's very true, because if your mind is always noisy, and if you are talking, or if you are concentrating on too many things, then you may not able to focus on a particular thing and advance more. But when you are silent, then you observe more, and when you you can absorb more what's happening, and then it will help you to progress. That's what even I always think in that way. Yeah, thank you for reminding us again. And yeah, nice class, Mataji. Thank you so much. So dear devotees, please, if you have any questions or any realizations to share, please go ahead. Thank you. Tirthakirti Mataji, you want to say something?
Yeah. Hi, Radha Vinodini. Thank you very much for this lovely lecture. It was very like I liked it so much to listen, and it was such a good topic with that silence. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank you. It's all thanks to Guru Maharaj.
So Asha Mataji has written a comment, I think, on the chat, Mataji.
So Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. I used to read Rumi's Rami. No, I don't know how to pronounce it properly.
Yeah, it's poem. Rumi's poem.
So poem earlier about silence. He has said, when the lips are silent, the heart has 100 tongues. Calm up your mouth and be silent like an oyster shell, for that tongue of yours is the enemy of the soul, my friend. And I would add to say, the tongue will become the friend of soul if it chants Harinam and speaks glories of Lord whenever it speaks. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Guru Maharaj. Yeah, it's such a nice comment. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Asha Mataji. Nice point. Yeah. Anyone else have any? Yeah, Revati Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Mataji, Tanat Pranam, please accept my humble obeisances. Our glories to Srila Prabhupada, our glories to Guru Maharaj. Thank you, Mataji. A very beautiful class. I felt the class is for me only. As you said, like you should not mix material sound with the transcendental. So when we mix that, we cannot get the real taste. Yeah, and also you said very much. It's also important. Also mixing the mind. So I mean, a lot of times we try to be cautious, but still, like we get so much affected, and we try to mix our mind with the transcendental. So, have any tips, Mataji? Definitely, we are chanting, but we have any other things that how can we be cautious and when we are like not to mix our thoughts, mind with transcendental.
It's a good question. I'm still struggling to to realize this topic. I would just say that for me, it's always very inspiring when I can listen to all these senior devotees' inspirations and techniques. For me, the most inspiring till now was reading Sachinanda Maharaj's book, The Living Name. And actually, I have this feeling that the most time, at least I can say my problem is that I forget to be motivated. And, when once I had this idea that, it would be so nice that if I could read each day a little bit of philosophy, a little bit of pastime, and a little bit about the holy name each day, because we chant each day, and it's so easy to forget how important it is to make effort in it, because we have all these daily duties, and it just takes our attention to other directions. And for example, when I have some kind of work to do, or when I have something to do around the house or something, I feel that, okay, I really have to get it done. And somehow I get into this same mood that, okay, I have to do my rounds, they have to be done. But the goal is not to just, make the mark that, okay, it's also done. First round done, second round done. But that is different because it's about a relationship. And when I read something about it, or when I hear something about it, then I'm just reminded that, okay, I should be motivated to have a relationship when I'm chanting. And when it's there, then I'm motivated to find the ways how I can chant more properly. So when I read this book, I really was inspired. This is one thing, and one other thing which Guru Maharaj used to say many times, that quantity brings quality, and then quality brings quantity. So it's also a nice thing that I experienced this, that when I have these days when I can chant more, significantly more, then I can really experience that the next day it's easier to chant, and there is more focus. But the main problem is that all the time during my daily life, something comes up which makes me forget the importance.
Yes, Mataji. Very nice. Beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much.
And if anybody else has some good tips to share, it would be so nice, because we cannot speak enough of how to chant nicely.
So for me, I feel it's a constant endeavor. But whenever, as you said, when we hear from lectures from senior disciples and Guru Maharaj, immediately the consciousness will set our consciousness. But again, it's a constant endeavor. Again, we try to mix it. transcendental sound with the material things. So yeah, but later we realize again we try to come back and try to fix that.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. Many times it really helps when we make proper circumstances. That, for example, this morning japa help in this regard, that we don't have to do anything at that time. There is not so much noise. So when the circumstances support meditation, then it's already a better start for japa.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mataji. So I just have one more question. You mentioned about silence, inner silence and outer silence. So what is outer silence, Mataji? Could you please explain?
Well, as I said, that part I'm still trying to really grasp and understand. But as I understood, which Srila Prabhupada wrote there, that this supports. I will just share this verse again. Yeah. So, which he mentioned that among the confidential activities of hearing, thinking, and meditating, silence is most important, because by silence one can make progress very quickly. So, yeah, how to say? Maybe I don't understand properly, but according to my understandings, the silence is which supports these processing, hearing, thinking, and meditating. So this is what I understood as outer silence.
Hearing. Okay.
But it may also mean that this silence, which he mentioned in the other verse, that when everything is which we speak is connected to Krishna. And I think both understandings may be right, because we as I mentioned just previously for japa, when the circumstances are supportive for meditation, that supports our progress. But also, if we speak about silence, like the silence in that other verse, that we speak only about Krishna and hear only about Krishna and whatever is connected to him, that is also silent, and silence that is also supportive for our progress. So here it may mean any of those. I just wanted to mention this outer silence, like in the context that, if you sit down to meditate in a crowded street, it won't be the same as when you try to do it in your home and it's quiet, peaceful, and nothing draws your attention.
Okay, Mataji, thank you. So when you're also connected with outer world, you should not be affected by the outside modes. Okay. Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the beautiful class.
Namita Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our dear Guru Maharaj. All glories to Dasi. Mataji, I wanted to very first thing you came up with this nice meditating topic on silence. I really found it wonderful, and I think it's worth meditating on. So again, thank you for bringing up this verse. I think it is 10.38. Yes, this is really something which I meditate more on it, because it has something to really think about. So thank you for bringing that verse. Also from, I think, the first verse, 1, which is the one 1423. Is it that?
Yeah. Yeah, 1423.
Yeah. So there is a point. I think it is the seer and the seen. Is it there in that?
No, I think it was in the verse about sound. Yeah, it's 2.5.25.
Okay. 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 2525.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, can you just, I think I have heard on this, but not quite much. I think this, the seer and the seen is also mentioned by Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Can you little bit elaborate on this, the seer and the seen? The distinction is like that between the seer
Yes.
and the.
Oh, I just read again this part. So it is said that the first tan matra sound is that first the tan matra sound is created, and then the sky. And in this verse, it is confirmed that actually it is so. But sound is the subtle form of the sky, and the distinction is like that between the seer and the seen. So it describes the connection between sky or ether and the sound. Ooh, you know, this is something which I think if I would say anything, it would be speculation at this point, because one thing is amongst some others is the creation, which I'm really not so familiar with. So I used to quote sometimes mostly when it's about sound, because it's very much connected to that. But I really should understand this topic more to speak about it. Sorry. But if anybody has any knowledge about this, please share with us.
I think Sridevi Mataji could help if she's not there, but
Yeah,
I think
she
the
was.
seer and the seen is related to the seer and the seen. I think we are the seen and seer is the supreme. So there's something related to that which I heard once, but I'm trying to find it out. So yes, I'll also try to find it out.
Yeah,
Maybe
but you know, here it's oh, there is one comment from Asha that dandavats.com by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Swami has described about this.
Yeah, this is by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, but I'm not able to exactly recollect. That is why I asked you, is that in your mind? So
I don't know which quote, because I think that it's used as a metaphor and means different things there and here.
No problem, no problem. I'll try
I understand.
I'll try to find it out. No problem.
Sorry, I don't know that quote.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Mataji, do you want me to just read it out? I have just opened the website.
Oh, you opened it. Then please do so. Yeah.
I cannot share it, but I can just read it because I had written it. So it says the philosophy of the seer and the seen of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. He who sees an object is called the seer, and an object seen by the observer is called the seen. The instrument of seeing is called sight. It is a common error to deem the sense of the sight the actual seer. Whatever we can measure by any of our senses, we also call a seeable object, and he who senses it is called the seer. It is best that the jiva see himself as the object of Krishna's enjoyment. Thinking himself the seer, he sees the world as the object of his enjoyment. But thinking himself the enjoyer under the influence of the false ego will result only in his misfortune. It is not fitting that the jiva see the world as the object of his own enjoyment. Rejecting that outlook and instead seeing the world as the object of the Lord's enjoyment, seeing it as Krishna's world or Gokula, is the jiva's good fortune and satisfies Krishna's senses. I am not the seer, but rather I am seen by Krishna. I am not the enjoyer, but the object of enjoyment is for Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. This is a nice article. Can you please post it? Can you please post the link?
Yeah, I put it there, Mataji, dandavats.com.
Yeah, but it's not the exact articles link.
Okay, I'll just copy paste and I'll post it here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Asha Mataji. Please post that link. It will be helpful for everyone.
Yeah,
Thank
I'll do it. Just give me a minute. I'll do it.
you. Sure. Anybody have any more questions or comments? Okay, if there are no more questions or comments, I just want to announce that from tomorrow, today Guru Maharaj is traveling back to Slovenia, and from tomorrow, Wednesday onwards, class timings will be changing. So that will be like 12 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Central Eastern, and it will be 7 a.m. Eastern time and 6 a.m. Central time. And for Indian devotees, it's 4:30 p.m. again. So that is from tomorrow, Wednesday. I'll post in the group again, WhatsApp group. Please note. And tomorrow, I don't know yet whether Guru Maharaj will have class or not, but we'll have another speaker if Guru Maharaj is not attending. Thank you so much.
Yeah, meanwhile, both of us found the link. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mataji, for sharing. Yeah, this will be definitely helpful. I'll share in the WhatsApp group also. I opened that. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Radha Vinodini Mataji, for such wonderful topic. Yeah, if you have any extension to this topic, we can you can do it in one more class. That we'll look forward for that too. Thank you so much, all devotees, for participating. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Radha Vinodini Mataji ki jai. Thank you.
Guru Maharaj ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki
Thank you.
jai.